They go, missed opportunities while focusing on Russia. Again, on March 7th, Maddow led with the day's top story. The unveiling of Republican plans to repeal Obamacare. That was the top story. They were going to repeal Obamacare. Quote, if you are worried about losing your health insurance, if you are worried about 20 million of your fellow Americans losing their health insurance, today was very scary, Maddow said. Oh, my God, she's going to actually cover an issue besides Russia. But after less than 2 minutes, Maddow promised to return to the story later and shifted gears to a higher editorial priority. What do you think that? So she stops talking about healthcare that people are going to get yanked away from. And what did she shift gears to in 2 minutes? We are going to start at the embassy, she said. This embassy, this is a big one. It is fully staffed. There's even an attaché specifically for fish. This fisheries attaché is named Mr. Oleg Vladimirovich Rykov. So she went right into the Russia thing. Viewers were then treated to a 22-minute deep dive into the Steele dossier and the various ways, quote, the bits and pieces of what's reported in this dossier are turning out to be true and reported and checkable. When Rachel Maddow finally returned to the day's opening scary story about millions standing to lose their health insurance, she gave it less than 4 minutes. Maddow has avoided substantive postmortems on Clinton. This is really something. Clinton team fumbles. They're not talking about the Clinton team screwing up the election. The postmortems on Clinton team fumbles, such as its absence of policy messaging or neglect of swing states. So the Hillary Clinton, the smartest people, the greatest resume, the most qualified person to be president, was the worst campaigner in the history of the world. She started out with a 60-point lead on Bernie, and she almost lost, and then she went on to lose to Trump because she's the worst politician in the world, because the more she talked, the more people hated her. And that's a fact. That's in every race she ever did. That was when she ran for Senate. It was the exact same way. She can't get her numbers up. Whatever numbers Hillary Clinton starts at, they go down. They never go up, because the more she talks, the more people don't like her. Why? Because she's not likable, because she's full of shit and people see it. She's not good at lying like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. Clinton campaign guests have faced almost no challenges or criticisms. This is on Rachel Maddow's show. Clinton campaign guests have faced almost no challenges or criticisms. Interviewing Jennifer Palmieri, Clinton's communications director, Rachel Maddow brings her on. And what happened when she brings her on December 12th? Maddow asked about how Russia, FBI Director James Comey, and the Green Party candidate Jill Stein fueled Clinton's loss. Nothing about the Clinton campaign. Nothing about Doc Oden, about having the most void of policy commercials in the history of a presidential campaign, which was academically figured out. Her toughest question on the campaign's mistakes, this is the tough question she asked Jennifer Palmieri. Quote, you guys did outraise and outspend Trump 2-1. How could you have better taken advantage of your cash advantage? That was her question. Oh, why do you stick the knife in so hard, Rachel? They go on. This is The Intercept. Really took her down hard. They go on. The danger of hyperbole. On several occasions, Maddow has described Moscow's alleged interference in the 2016 race as an attack on our election. On March 21st, she went further. She said, this is not part of American politics. This is not, partisan warfare between Republicans and Democrats. This is international warfare against our country. And it did not end on Election Day. We are still in it. She's saying that Russia's committing international warfare on us, meaning we better respond to someone attacking us in a warlike way. The only problem with that, so by the way, what's that called? That's called beating the drum for war as a fucking journalist. Because guess what? But whatever Russia may have done, it was not, quote, international warfare. And it was most likely far less consequential than U.S. interference in other countries over many decades, including Russia itself. We've interfered in Russia's election. Look what we did. We tried to get Yeltsin the president of that country. We've interfered. We've got tapes of Hillary Clinton saying we shouldn't let Palestine have an election unless we can figure out how it's going to turn out first. unless we can control how it's going to turn out. The CIA they overthrow governments left and right. They overthrow democratically elected governments and kill fucking women and children to do it before lunch. That's what the CIA does. If the worst is true, Maddow warned on March 17th, if the presidency is effectively a Russian op, if the American presidency right now is the product of collusion between the Russian intelligence services and an American campaign, I mean, that is so profoundly big. We not only need to stay focused on figuring it out, we need to start preparing for what the consequences are going to be if it proves to be true. This is fucking she should be put in jail for this. This is unbelievable.
When you have a paragraph with that many ifs in it, when you're saying if that many times, you don't get to turn around and then say this is an act of international warfare. In the land of sound bites, you don't get to do that. That's grossly irresponsible.
She's got Russia on the mind so much, her entire iTunes is filled with nothing but Pussy Riot. So The Intercept says, hey, Rachel, what if the allegations are ultimately disproved and go nowhere? Which they haven't, which is the case right now, 6 months after the election. Maddow and like-minded influential liberals will have led their audience on a fruitless quest, all the while helping foment anti-Russian sentiment, channeling Democratic Party energy away from productive self-critique. Mm-hmm. And diverting focus from the White House's actual policies. That's what Rachel Maddow has been. A complete, huge distraction from the important shit we should be talking about. What went wrong with the Democrats? Why they're such a wiped out party from coast to coast at every level of government that has nothing to do with Trump and nothing to do with Russia. Why are they wiped out? What's wrong with the Democrats? And the other thing is, what is the White House actually doing that's horrible? Those are the two things she's not covering.
And there's a lot to talk about with those two topics.
Trump would be handed a further gift via the damaged credibility of his enemy, the media responsible for holding him to account. So when Rachel Maddow does this stuff, it hurts the credibility of the media in general. So when they push back against Trump, they have less credibility pushing back against Trump. So it's just like when you say Bernie Sanders is sexist. Now when you call Donald Trump an actual sexist, it doesn't fucking mean anything. And what if the media's focus on the Russia connection ends up goading Trump to become more bellicose with Russia?
Right.
The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist recently moved its doomsday clock to its highest point since 1953. Among many contributing factors, the Bulletin warned the United States and Russia, which together possess more than 90% of the world's nuclear weapons, remain at odds in a variety of theaters. Their need for caution was perhaps most starkly underscored last week with Trump's Syria bombing, which prompted the Kremlin to warn that Russia and the U.S. are on the verge of military conflict. Rather than raising the ludicrous theory that the attack on Syria was orchestrated by Putin, as Maddow and O'Donnell speculated, it's worth asking if Trump was motivated, at least in part, to show the media, a top presidential preoccupation, that Putin isn't pulling the strings. But Maddow shows no signs of slowing down. Her top story on Monday night was about the detention in Spain of a prominent Russian spammer, Levashov, and the FBI's request. Levashov's wife has told reporters that his arrest may be linked to a computer virus associated with Trump's election victory. The FBI has offered no details. This is the news, Maddow reported in her 13-minute segment. The Russian guy just got arrested. I used to worry about getting stuff wrong on this show. Because we get stuff wrong. People get stuff wrong. I called a international, that Federico, Italian international politician. It's a woman, and I referred to her as a guy. Because I didn't see a picture, and then nobody referred to her in the text I read as a male or female. They just said Federico, which to me sounded like a man's name. So I said it. People correct me. Oh, that's not a... Oh, okay, I got it wrong. But I didn't get the gist of the story wrong. I got the gender of a person giving a quote wrong. I didn't get the quote wrong. I didn't get the gist of it wrong. I got the gist. This is Rachel Maddow. This is a $30,000 a day journalist. $30,000 a day. At the top of her lungs, on steroids, beating the drum for war with no evidence and pushing propaganda in the most irresponsible way possible, calling for World War III. Trying to red bait the president into ramping up a fucking military conflict with a nuclear power. That's the equivalent of driving drunk. You're broadcasting drunk because what you're doing is endangering the lives of everyone in the goddamn world. And I'm not exaggerating. This is what The Intercept picked up on. And they're saying politely that Rachel Maddow is a fucking menace. And she's using her position to undermine the safety of the goddamn world for fucking ratings and to give cover to the establishment plutocrats. That's the stuff they have no problem advertising. They can't buy enough ads on her show. You know what they don't want to advertise on? The show that debunks that fucking war-mongering bullshit.
There's memes out there, and we've shown them on this show, and you can see them pretty much everywhere of all the other things that are going on, which is only one of many reasons why this is grossly irresponsible. But, in the meantime, there's bills out there that would end unions as we know it by making right to work federal. There's, of course, they're still going after the Affordable Care Act. Of course, they're trying to cut education even more. I mean, all those propositions are out there.
So
and
what this
no one's talking about them.
This is I don't know what this is, but
it's already xenophobic too. That's one thing where they're just like, well, this could be a rise in a xenophobe. No, it's already xenophobic.
This is I can't stand the fact that Donald Trump is president so much that I'm burning so much with anger over this, like Keith Olbermann, that I'm just going to focus on this to the exclusion of logic, rationality, and journalistic integrity. Is that and they just get consumed with it? Like I get consumed sometime with my anger at the stuff like this. So maybe she feels about Trump being president the same way I feel about her letting down the country.
However, you don't do 53% of your content just focusing on Rachel Maddow.
No, that's right.
You've decided that you're going to actually talk about other issues that are important.
Right. I'm actually doing that. Yeah, we're actually going to cover other things.
Well, and I think this isn't just like, oh, this is the division on the left. This is the haves and the have-nots, because the people that are really beating these drums are the people that would not be affected at all personally if a war happened.
That's correct. So, if you're a fan of Rachel Maddow, maybe you send her a note, tell her to cut it out. Tell her to maybe quit. Take her millions and millions and millions of dollars that she's already gotten propping up the establishment, and please stop trying to start a world war. And you wonder why people get their news from YouTube.